10 rarest Mopar models ever made. 1. 1970 Plymouth Hemi Superbird. The 1970 Plymouth Hemi Superbird is one of the most iconic muscle cars ever made. This limited edition car was born out of the need to dominate the NASCAR track. Chrysler wanted to create a vehicle that could compete with the Ford Torino Talladega, and the Superbird was the result of that effort. Only 135 units were built, making this car a rare gem in the world of muscle cars. Built on the same platform as the Plymouth Roadrunner, the Superbird's design was all about speed. It featured a cone-shaped nose and a huge rear wing, both of which were intended to improve aerodynamics and boost performance on the racetrack. While most of the Superbirds came with a 440 Super Commando V8 engine, only a small number were equipped with the legendary 426 Hemi engine. This engine allowed the car to reach speeds of over 200 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest cars of its time. What's truly remarkable about the Plymouth Superbird is its combination of speed and safety. The aerodynamic shape, combined with its low drag coefficient of just 0.28, made it one of the fastest and most stable muscle cars ever built. In its day, it was a true marvel of engineering, and even today, it remains one of the most revered muscle cars in history. Two, 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona 426 Hemi. Next up, we have the 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona, another winged warrior designed for NASCAR. The Daytona was Mopar's first aerodynamically optimized vehicle, and like the Plymouth Superbird, it was designed with one goal in mind: to beat the competition on the racetrack. Although the Daytona was produced for 2 years, it is much rarer than the Superbird, with only 70 units featuring the powerful 426 Hemi engine. The Daytona's design was a game-changer. The large rear wing and cone-shaped nose were engineered to reduce drag and improve airflow, which made the car incredibly fast. Just like the Superbird, the Daytona had a drag coefficient of 0.28, which was exceptionally low for a car built in the 1960s. This made it one of the fastest classic Mopars to ever hit the streets. In today's market, the Daytona has become a highly sought-after collector's item. Even non-Hemi models can fetch six-figure prices, and the Hemi version can easily exceed $1 million at auction. Whether you're a car enthusiast or a collector, the 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona is a true legend of the muscle car world. 3. 1968 Dodge Charger 500. Before Mopar created the wing cars like the Superbird and Daytona, they introduced a more subtle, yet still highly effective, aerodynamic model: the 1968 Dodge Charger 500. While it didn't have the wild styling of the Daytona or Superbird, the Charger 500 was built with a similar purpose in mind: to compete with the Ford Torino Talladega in NASCAR races. To improve aerodynamics, Chrysler made several modifications to the Charger 500. These included an indented front grille, a recessed rear window, and a front chin spoiler. Despite its aerodynamic enhancements, the Charger 500 didn't perform as well as its successors on the racetrack, but that didn't stop it from being a popular model. Of the 500 planned units, 392 were sold in 1968, and many of them quickly became valuable to collectors. Out of the 67 units that were equipped with the 426 Hemi engine, only 27 came with the rare 4-speed manual transmission, making them even more valuable today. The Charger 500 was a vehicle ahead of its time, and while it didn't take home many NASCAR victories, it remains an important part of muscle car history. 4. 1967 Dodge Coronet W023. The 1967 Dodge Coronet W023 is a muscle car that's built for pure performance. During the 1960s, the big American automakers were producing cars specifically designed for drag racing, and the Coronet W023 was one of the most focused models in this category. Built on the B-body platform, it shared many similarities with other Mopars of the era, like the Dodge Charger and Plymouth Roadrunner. One of the things that set the Coronet W023 apart was its stripped-down design. Dodge removed everything that wasn't necessary for performance. This included removing the heater, soundproofing, and even the carpets, which were replaced with rubber floor mats. The result was a significantly lighter car, weighing in at just 3,451 pounds. This weight reduction allowed the Coronet to be much quicker on the track. Only 55 Coronet W023 units were made, and out of those, 39 were equipped with the 727 Torque Flight automatic transmission. The car also featured a 4.87 to 1 rear-end ratio, which made it ideal for drag racing. The Coronet W023 was a true racing machine, built to dominate the drag strip. 5. 1967 Plymouth Belvedere 2 R023. The 1967 Plymouth Belvedere 2 R023 is another example of Mopar's commitment to creating muscle cars that could dominate on the drag strip. Much like the Dodge Coronet W023, the Belvedere 2 R023 was a stripped-down, no-nonsense vehicle designed for high-performance racing. Plymouth removed every non-essential part to reduce weight, including the radio, soundproofing, and hubcaps. With only 55 units produced, the Belvedere 2 R023 was a rare and highly specialized car. It came with the powerful 426 Hemi engine, which was modified with heavy-duty internals to handle the stress of high-performance driving. A 4.88 to 1 rear-end ratio was also included, ensuring that the engine stayed within its ideal power range for drag racing. Of the 55 units, only 17 were equipped with the 4-speed A833 transmission, making these cars even rarer and more valuable today. The Belvedere 2R023 is a true collector's item, representing the best of Mopar's drag racing heritage. 6. 1968 Plymouth Barracuda B029 Superstock. The 1968 Plymouth Barracuda B029 Superstock is another legendary Mopar muscle car that was built for the drag strip. Unlike the regular Barracuda, the B029 Superstock featured several modifications to make it lighter and more agile. The car was built on the smaller A-body platform, making it more nimble compared to the larger B-body muscle cars like the Charger and Coronet. The B029 Superstock was a true drag racer, built with help from Hearst Performance. It featured fiberglass fenders, acid-etched steel doors, and a heavy-duty rear suspension that allowed it to handle the extreme demands of drag racing. With these modifications, the B029 could race down the quarter mile in under 10 seconds, which was impressive for its time. Though only 50 of these cars were originally built, some sources suggest that as many as 70 units may have been produced. Regardless, the B029 Superstock is one of the rarest and most collectible Mopar muscle cars ever made. 7. 1971 Plymouth Hemi GTX. The 1971 Plymouth Hemi GTX represents the last of the classic muscle cars before the smog era started to take over in the mid-1970s. Despite the changing automotive landscape, the Hemi GTX still packed a punch. This car was built on the B-body platform and featured a sleek, elegant design that was as stylish as it was powerful. The GTX was marketed as a gentleman's muscle car with its smooth lines and classy design. But don't let that fool you. The GTX still had the raw power of the 426 cubic inch Hemi Fiv 8 engine. While most of the cars came with the 440 V8 engine, only 30 units were built with the more powerful Hemi engine, making them rare and highly collectible today. Even with the Hemi engine's higher cost, the GTX still offered incredible performance and was one of the most powerful cars of its time. It was a perfect blend of luxury and muscle, making it a standout in the muscle car world. 8. 1968 Dodge Super B 426 Hemi. The 1968 Dodge Super B was built on the same platform as the Charger and Roadrunner, but it stood out with its bold styling and powerful 426 Hemi engine. This car was designed to compete with the best, and its no-nonsense design made it one of the most respected muscle cars of its era. The Super B's weight was slightly heavier than the Roadrunner, but it was still an incredibly fast car. Equipped with the 426 Street Hemi 8, the Super B delivered raw power. Only 22 of these cars were made with the Hemi engine, making them rare and valuable collector's items today. The Dodge Super B became an instant classic, with its distinctive styling and impressive performance making it one of the best muscle cars to come out of the 1960s. 9. 1970 Plymouth Hemi Cuda Convertible. The 1970 Plymouth Hemi Cuda Convertible is perhaps one of the most collectible muscle cars ever made. The hardtop version of the Cuda was popular, but the convertible version is a different story. Only 5.1% of all 1970 Cudas were convertibles, and an even smaller percentage came with the powerful 426 Hemi engine. Only 21 Hemi-powered convertibles were ever built, making them one of the rarest and most expensive muscle cars on the market today. A 1971 Hemi Cuda convertible was sold at auction for an eye-popping $4.8 million, setting a record for the highest price ever paid for a muscle car at auction. The Hemi Cuda convertible remains a symbol of performance and luxury, a rare piece of automotive history that continues to excite collectors and car enthusiasts worldwide. 10. 1966 Dodge Coronet Hemi 4-door. The 1966 Dodge Coronet Hemi 4-door is a sleeper muscle car that few people know about. While it was similar to the Dodge Charger, the Coronet was a practical four-door sedan with the power of the 426 Hemi 8 under the hood. Despite its unassuming appearance, this car was built for speed and could hold its own against some of the most powerful muscle cars of the era. Only 5 Coronet Hemi 4-door cars were made, and one of them was even commissioned by the FBI. Another 2 were reportedly exported, leaving just one civilian version in the United States. This rare, high-performance sedan is now considered one of the ultimate muscle car rarities, a piece of history that continues to captivate car collectors.